All right, can you hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? So y'all missed all of that. I am so sorry. And this was what I was worried about. So let me start back from the beginning. My name's Meredith. I'm sure most of you know me. I am one of the Husqvarna Viking educators. Thank you so much. So sorry, y'all. So I am on my own today. That is why you had no volume. Ryan and Amy are busy at the moment. They will be joining shortly, but bear with me for the time being. It is just me, and apparently I didn't even realize I didn't have my volume back on yet. So yes, before we get started, if you have any questions, anything like that, feel free to put them in the chat. If I happen to miss it, I will come back after the live. I come back and I respond to any of the questions, things like that. So just bear with me if I happen to miss it. But feel free to type in any of your questions throughout. We are going to be talking about the free arm hoop. This is a new hoop with a new feature on the new Designer Epic 3. So this hoop will only work with the Designer Epic 3. So if you are a Designer Epic 3 owner or you've been looking at it, this is one of those great features that makes you want to go to this machine. So we are so used to doing having to flip things, turn them inside out, take out the center seam or the side seam and things like that. And now you don't have to do that. We have a free arm hoop, and I'm going to go through hooping a few different types of things like bags, a t-shirt, onesies, pants, and shorts. So we have a lot to go through, but I'm going to start at the very beginning. The differences in the hoops. The hoops are different, and you have to think differently when you're hooping your projects so that it fits on the free arm appropriately. It's sort of is like thinking backwards. So let's go first to the hoop and we will get all that taken care of. So I'm going to switch over here. There we go. So this is what most people are used to, this hoop right here. This is like all of the other hoops. It has its centerpiece like this and its outer ring. And you put it in like this. The little arrows match up and you clip it together. Well, the free arm hoop is a little bit different. The part that connects to the machine, so remember on this one, the part that connects to the machine is the outside. You see that? The part that connects to the machine on the free arm hoop is actually on the inside. So it's thinking a little bit differently of how you are putting your projects together within the hoop. And then you're going to clamp it together. So any questions on that? This one still has the arrows that you need to make sure that you line those up when you are putting your hoop together. You don't want them upside down like this. I mean, it won't fit like that. Or backwards. So you always want to make sure that your arrows are touching each other. So let me move this hoop out of the way. And let's start with a t-shirt. We'll start easy. I say easy loosely. So with a t-shirt, you have to think of how we're going to put it in the free arm. So let me show you this right here. Oh, hold on one second. Let me switch back here. So you have to think, here's our free arm right here. With the embroidery arm on this new machine, you'll notice, let me show you here. Back up a little bit. Oh, that's in. You'll notice here that it connects on like normal, but then you have this space for the free arm, and this is where your project's going to go. So your bag, your sleeve, a onesie, whatever it is going to go on that way, but it's got to connect. You can't see it over here. The connection point's over here. When the arm moves over, you'll see it here in a second. So that's what you have to keep in mind. So if you think about it, we want this opening of our shirt. So this part right here, and the free arm of our hoop is over here. Let me do it this way. The free arm of our hoop is here, and here's our shirt. So we want to hoop it this way. So we're going to put the outer part of the hoop right in here. Let's see. And I have already sort of pressed my garments so that I have a center point. You want to make sure that you've marked where you want your design at. I don't know if y'all can see sort of where I've pressed that so that I've got a center point. You want to make sure you have your center point found beforehand, because then if you get your garment skewed a little bit, you can design position, precise position, get it where you want it. So I have the outer ring in there. Once you get it in there, we're going to take some stabilizer and we're going to put it in there on top. So I have my hoop right here, and I'm going to put my stabilizer in here on top of my hoop. Sort of just move it around until you get it where you want it. Get everything flat like that. And I'm going to roughly feel, so I can tell I need my stabilizer to move up. See, it's not covering my whole hoop there. I'm going to roughly look for the center part of my hoop. So right up here, I'm going to sort of eyeball where the center of my hoop is with my markings right there. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take the inner part, the part that connects, and we're going to put that here. I already have my hoop clip open. You can't see it because it's inside my shirt. I have my hoop clip open, and I'm going to just push this into place. And I got that pretty close. So there's my center line here, and there's the center, and then here. So you just kind of have to wiggle it around just a little bit if you want to get a little bit closer, things like that. So get it exactly where you want it, and we're going to secure that in the hoop. So I've got that tight and smooth there, and I'm going to clamp. I'm going to reach in and clamp. I'll show you in a second. Let me loosen it a little bit. I didn't loosen it before I put it in there. Oh, a little bit more. Don't force it. If you cannot get that clamp closed, unscrew it just a little bit more. And there you go, like that. And I'll show you that. So I have that clamped in here, just like that. So here's our shirt, and we can sort of adjust it a little bit if we need to. You don't want to pull it too much because, again, this is a t-shirt, and I'm using a cutaway stabilizer with knits. You want to have a cutaway stabilizer, just a little side note there. So let's switch over here. So this is how it's going to go on. I'm going to, let's find a design first. Let's come over here and find a design. So for this t-shirt, I'm going to go into, let's see. Let's go to frames and borders, because there's a little circle one I want to use here. So we're going to click and hold, and then we want to center that in our hoop. You want to make sure you have your hoop selected. So I'm going to go down here to hoop options, and I'm going to choose the free arm hoop, the 100 by 150. So let me tell you really quick, this is the only free arm hoop we have right now. We were asked, educators, people within the company were asked, you know, if they could have another free arm hoop, would they want a smaller one or a bigger one? And I know most of them said smaller for reasons of putting things like on a cuff, like a smaller cuff of a sleeve, things like that. I prefer bigger because I do a lot of my free arm projects on bags. So I wanted to be able to do a bigger design and shirts. To me, it could be a little bit small. It just depends. But I wanted a bigger hoop. So our hope is that y'all will enjoy this as much as I do, and that they will hopefully come out with more hoops in the future. But currently we only have the 100 by 150 free arm hoop here. So let's switch back here. So that's what I have selected. I've got the 100 by 140, and I've got my design in there, and I've got it centered. So here's the next part you need to think about. You need to think, let me show you this view. This is the top of our shirt right here, and this is the bottom. So our shirt goes this way, top to bottom. We need to make sure our design is turned the right way. But with this one that I have, it could go either way, but I could rotate it. Let me actually, you know what, for that point, let me show you one that is directional. That way you can have a better idea of what it looks like. So let's go over, I have one in mind. Where is it at? It is under children right here. Let's choose just this little unicorn. So we want to center that. So if I were to stitch that out right now, it would stitch out sideways on my hoop. Why does that keep doing that? I'm so sorry, y'all. So it would stitch out this way with the top of the unicorn here and the bottom here. That's not what we want. We want it to go the other way. So let's rotate it. And you can tell also it doesn't fit in the hoop that way. So we're going to go to rotate 90 degrees. That would be upside down if we did it that way. Let me show you. That's not what I want. Okay. And there we go. So this is the way we want it. We don't want it the other way. So you have to be thinking which way you would want it to go. I would have, so somebody said, yeah, somebody said they would have rather have wanted a smaller hoop to do a name above a pocket, monograms, things like that. That would be great. You can use this hoop to do things above the pocket. You just have to move where you place it. And your hoop could be skewed. You just have to, you can use projection scanning to place it right, or you can use precise, I'm forgetting what it's called, precise positioning as well. So it doesn't, your item does not have to necessarily be centered, but your design has to be able to fit in the hoop, and then you can move it where you want it. So that'll help that way. Yes, how about we just have the best of both? Joanne said, how about a smaller and a larger hoop? Fingers crossed, Joanne, that's my hope. So let's switch back here. So we are going to open up our shirt here because we want the hoop to go right here, and the bottom of our shirt right here is going to go underneath our free arm, just like that. And I'm going to push, stitch out right here, and that's going to bring me into embroidery mode. And it's going to slide my arm over, and I'm going to connect it on just like that. So there we go. So again, top of our shirt's right here, bottom of our shirt's here, things like that. Does that make sense so far with getting your design centered? I'm going to do this a couple more times with different things, so you'll be able to have a better idea of it as well. Let me zoom in a little bit there. There you go. So I've got my 100 by 150 free arm hooped on there. So if you wanted to get this centered now, what you would do is you could exact position. They changed it from design positioning to exact position, and I keep saying the wrong thing. I apologize. Exact position. So on the screen right here, you could see exact position, or you could bring up projection as well. So I know where the center of my shirt is because I marked it. So you could easily find the center this way, but I want to show you using projection. So, nope, yeah, there it is. So I'm going to hit this little pyramid button, push that button right there. And we're going to turn projection on, and you're going to see this little light up here. I'm going to dim my workspace lighting so you can see that a little bit more. And here's a little bit of my design. You can only see in front of the needle where your design is. So let me, what you could do here, I'm switching back over here. You could go to exact position. And if we wanted to center, here are your instructions for using exact position. The first point is going to be your design point, where the point is at on your design. So we want the center of our design because I want this design centered where I have my marked center. So once you've selected that, the center, and all I did was push the button right here just to get the center of my design, I'm going to hit step number 2, which is the hoop down here. Now we're going to look at the hoop. So I'm not looking at the screen anymore. I want to find my center point on the hoop. So I'm just using my arrows. Let's see if I can get it to move a little bit quicker there for you. So you'll see my hoop is starting to move there. And I'm going to find my center point. And this would be like a 2-step precise or exact positioning. So that's how you would do that. Let me go back over here to find the center there. I can see where my little cross hatch or my ironing is, but I'm sure you guys can't see it very well there. Let me see if I zoom in a little bit. And it will look a little rainbow-esque to you. I know looking at this light on camera will give you that effect. So that would be how you would find a 2-point precise position or exact position. Any questions on that so far? And then you would put your topper on your on top of your t-shirt because you want to have a topper on top of t-shirts to keep your stitches from sinking in. But that's a t-shirt. So that's pretty simple, right? So let's do a onesie. The majority of the shirts that I do are onesies for friends and things like that. So this was a huge benefit to me. I will preface this with, it's easier to do larger onesies than it is to do smaller. With smaller, I will still take out that side seam. So like 6 months and below, I will do 6 to 9 months and below. I'll still take out that side seam and embroider them that way. But the bigger ones, and that's where my hope for a smaller hoop may come from, is you can get smaller openings like with the smaller onesies. But for this one, we're just going to do this hoop, and I've got a larger onesie. So let's switch back over here. Let me get my hoop out of here. So we're just going to unclip this. Does that all make sense though so far? Any questions? Anything on that? Pretty simple, straightforward. So let's do a onesie. So same sort of thing. I have a, what size is this one? This is a 24-month onesie here. So same thought process. I want to unsnap the bottom, and I want the top of my shirt to be where this is, and the bottom where my free arm to be where the opening of the onesie is this way. I mean, technically you could do it the opposite way where this is in the free arm, but I feel like this is a smaller space to work within than the opening at the bottom. So you can definitely do it either way. You just have to be thinking, how do I want it on my arm and how's it going to fit? So we're going to put our hoop inside here. And again, I've got my center lines sort of already pressed on here where I want them. So I'm going to just eyeball, and then I'm going to put my stabilizer in there. Just like that. And it's a little bit of a process. Just work with it. You can try and put the stabilizer in when you do the hoop. I don't. I just feel like I can sort of get the hoop where I want it first, and then I can slide in the stabilizer. Why? Okay, somebody asked something about projection, and I will talk about that in just a minute. She said, why didn't the projection of the design move to the center? I will mention that here in just a minute when we go back to it. So there we go, just like that. And then we're going to put our connection part in the center of our hoop. We're going to put that on. Let me make sure that I've got this opened over here. Yeah. And when I'm hooping anything, I like to put in just my little tips for hooping. I like to put in the bottom two sides or the top two sides first, and then I will smooth out whatever my project is, and then I'll push down the back. And that way you have a smooth, clean, tight surface. You don't want to do this process on your lap or with things underneath it. You want a flat surface to work with. So once you get that hoop in there, we're going to close the clip. And I need to loosen it some, so I'm unscrewing it. There we go, like that. So there we are connected for our hoop. Just like that. And it's straight and smooth and everything looks great. So now we're going to take this to our machine. So there we go. Let me back up just a little bit so you can see. So let me turn off projection so I've got some better lighting under there. There we go. Let there be light. Okay, somebody, yeah, that's a great point, and I can show you that in a minute. So I showed you like a 2-point exact position. I'm going to show you a 2-step. I'm going to show you a 4-step in a minute. If you know that you want your design on the center of your shirt and you found the center and you don't need it to go to a certain place, that would be how you do it. Just get it right there. And what I will do also is I will do my fixed point or my fixed stitch, and I will stitch that out and hold up whatever my garment or whatever my project is to make sure that it's straight before I start stitching. Having that fixed stitch gives you a rough idea of where it's going to be and if it's wonky or not. And it's easier to take out a fixed stitch than it is to take out a design once it's already in there. So I'll show you a 4-step exact position in a moment. So we've got the opening, the bottom part of our onesie. We're going to slide it on there, and the top of our hoop is going to go on our free arm just like that. And we're going to snap it into place. Have you guys seen our new attachment and how we connect our hoops on? So you're used to just sliding on a hoop like this, but with this new one, all you have to do is push right down, and then it comes right up with this little button right there to push it up. So just like that, really easy. I love it. So you don't have to worry about pulling something down and then sliding it in place and it moving things out of the way. So here's our onesie. Is this strictly for the Epic 3 or any machine? Yes, this is currently strictly just for the Designer Epic 3. And the reason for that is, let me show you this right here. The reason for that is you can get a free arm here. With our other embroidery machines, the part of the embroidery arm comes down here, and connects in. The connection for the Designer Epic 3 embroidery arm is right down here. So it's not going into this space. This is the free arm that I'm talking about. And this is why it's called a free arm hoop. And this is just one of those great features of the Designer Epic 3 that we have added to our machine. So I hope that makes sense there. So let me slide this guy back on. Oh, and I can already tell I did not get the bottom part. You want to make sure that you get it in the opening. Otherwise, you'll be stitching through your shirt just like that. Okay, so let's go back to our screen. And let's see. I just want to show you all this, and then I will show you another way of doing with the 4 steps. So somebody had asked, why didn't the projection of the design move to the center? So if you look right here, let me zoom in so you can see this a little bit more. If you look, here's part of it. The center of the design is actually underneath where the needle is. That's the place that I chose, was the center. if I wanted to see where that center was, I would have to move my arrows to find it. So you only see what is in this part of the stitch area. The projection can't go back this way or over here. So that's why you're only seeing this little bit of it. But if I switch out of this, let me leave that. Yep. And if I just have projection on, I don't have precise positioning on, I can move my arrows. Can I pull them up? Turn that off and back on. And back out of here too. Let me show you my screen, give you a better idea of what I'm doing. So I'm going to back out really quick, and I'm going to turn projection on in the embroidery edit mode. So right up here, and we've got it turned on there. So now it's bringing my hoop over, and I'm going to connect it. It wants me to connect it. And there it is there. So let me show you here. So if I wanted to see all of the design, there are these 4 arrows right here where I can move my hoop. So that's what I'm going to be pushing for you to be able to see this here. And it is sort of opposite of what you want. So if I want to see more of the design over here, I'm actually going to hit the down button, not the up button. So come on. I'm trying to click and hold so you can see it move a little bit. So you see my designs moving, and then it moves in the hoop. So now I can see more of my design, but you can only see within this window for the projection, not back here. That's why we're still missing some of our design there. Does that answer that? Why didn't the projection of the design move to the center? If not, let me know and I can try explaining it in a different way. But that's why there. So any questions on a onesie? That was pretty easy, right? Like, I don't want people to be intimidated. What I really wanted people to take away from this live was how exciting the new free arm is, but how easy it is to hoop things as well. I know it can be kind of intimidating, like, how do I do that? And sometimes it helps just to have somebody show you different types of things that you would use it for. So can you float a design in the hoop? No, because, well, sort of, but more no. Like you could a few maybe little things. The reason I say no is because remember the hoop is backwards. It's this part that connects is normally on the outside and it's on the inside. So let me show you if I wanted to float something. Let me just hoop this stabilizer really quick with nothing on it. Let me show you. I think having a visual of it would give you a better idea of why that wouldn't work. So I'm going to pull this hoop out. And I'm just going to hoop the stabilizer just like this. I mean, technically you could, but then it defeats the purpose of having the free arm when you are doing that. And I'm going to use this shirt to give you a better idea of what that looks like. So here is my hoop with just my stabilizer. And somebody asked if you could float something. So if I wanted to float, let me back up a little bit here. If I wanted to float this shirt, what I would do is I would turn it sort of inside out and find where the center and stuff is that I wanted to do. So yes, you could use it to float, but that defeats the purpose of having the free arm. The whole purpose of the free arm is to be able to have whatever your project is and not have to flip it and be able to slide it on. Does that make sense? I think a visual helped with that a little bit more. You just wouldn't be able to slide your garment on, and that's the whole purpose of a free arm hoop and the free arm of this machine. Floating it would still be fine, but you could do that with any hoop. Does that answer that question, hopefully? It says, do you always embroider without the other? Do you always embroider without the other? Are you talking about this? Well, actually, let me just, I'll hold it up and show you. Are you talking about this guy? Is that the flat panel you're talking about that slides on? Okay. Amy said she thinks that's what you're talking about. So let me show you, let me show some people what this is. So I'm going to back out of embroidery mode here and move my arm over. Or actually, I'm not in embroidery mode. I'm going to turn my projection off like that. And I want my hoop. Actually, just let me do it this way, a bit easier. 2 seconds. Nope, that didn't work that way. Hold on. I'm moving my hoop. And then we're going to There it goes. Okay, I needed to get my hoop out of the way, or my arm out of the way. So this table right here slides on here. So when you are embroidering with a normal hoop, so like this hoop here, you want to have this table on. And if you are using anything larger than the 240 by 150, or even the new big hoop, the 461, you want to have on, there are these embroidery arm support tables. They're across the way, so I cannot get, like, they're like 3 feet that way, and I have to go around to get them. So, but they connect on this way, and it gives you extra support in the front and back for those larger hoops. So you definitely want to be using this if you're just doing regular embroidery, or if you have a larger hoop, you want to be using this, and then the extension tables as well. So I think that was the question. But for free arm, you want to take it off. So this is what it looks like. We've got this guy off, just like that, and free arm. And what I will do also is I actually sew with this thing on. You can have your accessory tray on, but I just leave that on most of the time. And then I just access what I need out of my accessory tray. So you can use it as a table just for sewing as well. So let's go back. Any more questions on floating or the projection and why you don't see the whole design? Before I move on, I will come back around to the 4-step exact position. But if not, let's go on to the next thing, because I've got so much I want to show you. I've got 3 more things I want to show you, and I've got 30 minutes. So let's switch here, and I'm going to grab a quick drink. So next, let's do shorts. So say you have a little one, or even yourself, and you wanted to add on something to the bottom of the shorts. You could technically flip these and do it that way, but you only have so much to work with and so much space. So we're going to keep them, and I kind of wanted to show y'all too, smaller things you could do with them. So again, we are thinking, I want my design to go along the edge of my shorts here. So I'm going to take my hoop apart. I'm going to put my hoop in here first. See, I just can't do it with the stabilizer on it. I want to get that hoop in there first. And then I'm going to place this on here. This is the one where I'm going to show you the 4-step exact positioning. So I've got that flat in there. These are my daughter's little shorts, and these are a small, like a 6'7". So I've got my stabilizer flat in there. But you will notice the bottom of my hoop is down here. I'm not going to hoop all the way down because I want to go right along the edge. So we're going to put that where we want it there. Make sure we're all smooth and flat. Push that down. Make sure we're down, and then clamp it closed. Too much pressure, and then you just loosen it some. There we go, just like that. And another little tip is like pushing it in a little bit. So that was something that I had mentioned on one of my past lives, all about hooping, is if you push in that inner part of the hoop just a little bit, like a 1/16 of an inch, it gives it a little bit of a ledge, and it sort of sets in whatever you have hooped and makes it just a little bit more tight. So somebody asked, if you hoop the cutaway only when the sides of the shirt are over the hoop and under the free arm, then attach the hoop, wouldn't it work that way for floating? Let me think about that. I'm trying to think as I'm reading it. If you hoop the cutaway only, okay, and then slide the shirt. We'll try that in just a minute. We'll try it. Okay, we'll try that and see. I haven't thought about doing it that way. I will admit a flaw of mine. I am not a good out-of-the-box thinker. My daughter is a very good out-of-the-box thinker. Like, well, Mom, why wouldn't you do that this way? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. So we'll try it, and maybe that'll work, and maybe somebody will teach me something today. I love learning new things as well. So let me make sure this is back on there. I've got my shorts hooped, and you'll notice that the bottom of my shorts is not really straight. It actually goes up a little bit of an angle there. So I'm going to show you how to do that 4-step positioning there. You want to keep in mind also a good thing to remember with this specific hoop is that you also have to have enough space to fit the free arm in. So if it was something smaller that the hoop barely fit in and it was too tight, you want to make sure that the free arm can still move loosely. So I'm a little close to probably the max that I could do, but I can still slide this from one side to the other and it'd be okay. So let's go over here to our design, and I'm going to get rid of this unicorn, and I'm going to pull in, come on, let me delete that. Let me put my hoop back to the right size. We are using the free arm hoop here. So I've got my flower where my designs are at, and I'm going to go over to these tiny mini small right here, the small category. And I want to do some of these little flowers here. But real quick before I do that, I needed to open this. We are going to do create shape down here. So I want to have like a rotating, this isn't something I planned on doing for the live until right before. And I was like, this is something good extra I can add on. We want to do a sequence. So I'm going to come up here to shapes, and I'm going to just choose a straight line. I want it to go along the edge of the shorts. And so obviously a straight line, you could do it in a zigzag like this one here if you wanted to. So I have a straight line selected, and then I'm going to go back to my flowers here. I'm going to push that once, and it's going to bring one flower in there. But remember, I want my design to go vertical, so I need to rotate this. I'm going to rotate my design here just like that, and we want to make it a little bit smaller so that it fits in that hoop. Did you see how I do that? I drug in that little corner there. And I see somebody asked a question, 1 second, and I'll come back to that one. So I want to add in like a sequence of them. So I'm going to add in a purple flower also. Put it in there. There it is. Okay, so there's my 2 flowers. And right down here, I have this one selected where I could just add in the same purple flower, the last one I just did. Or if I push this one right here, this is repeat combination. So you just have repeat, last, and repeat combination. So I have both of those in there. I want to repeat that combination. So you'll notice that it's going from one to the other. So there is a row of 6 flowers, a sequence of them, a pattern of them. And then we're just going to push the check mark button up there, and that's going to bring it into our hoop. So we are going to take this to embroidery mode, and I'm going to show you how to exact position it with 4 steps. But somebody asked, what is the minimum circumference so the hoop can move easily? I don't know an exact number. That's a great question. I can see if I can find out an exact number, but like I said, just try what you have and see if it will fit. And like I showed you when I did mine, I was able to just move it, and I wasn't meeting a lot of resistance to do that. So that would be my good test to make sure that it worked. So we're going to go to stitch out, and it's going to bring our embroidery arm over. We are going to connect our hoop like that. It's going to slide it over a little bit more, and I'm going to make sure this is pushed down in there. There's a little opening right in here and on the other side, and so the excess of the garment can go right in that area. So let's see, on my screen here, we've got exact position. Let me see, actually, let me turn on, how is it? Nope, let's do this. I can do it in here. So I'm going to turn on my projection. I've got that turned on over here. You can't see it. I'll show you in just a second. So I'm going to be going back and forth with my camera so you can see as I'm moving. So this first step 1 to set the position of the design. So here is my first step, and I want to find the bottom of that flower right there. You can zoom into your design there. You can zoom out to your hoop there, and you can zoom into that point. I like to zoom in to that point and get it close to where I want it, and then I can move my arrows exactly. So I'm just at the very furthest south point of that flower right there. So then we're going to go to step 2, which is on my hoop. You see it's got a hoop icon. So now we're going to look at our hoop. So let me switch back over here. And now I want to line up the bottom of that flower. I can see my flowers here. I don't believe you guys can see them. Let me see if I change my colors a little bit. See if I can get you. I think it's because of the color of the flowers and then the color that the pants are. But here are my flowers right here. Hope you can see those a little bit. So I'm going to move my arrows. Again, I'm looking at my hoop. I'm going to move my arrow, and I'm working with that furthest point. Trying to get it to move a little bit more. You'll see my hoop start to move. It's moving this way. You see it there? So I can see where my flower is. Come on, arrows. My fingers, I'm pushing it, but it's not. It's going slow today. There it goes. Okay, so if I roll my needle down, the bottom point that I selected is right there on the edge of my hem of my shorts. So I've got that first point selected there. So now I'm going to go to step 3. So we're going to go back to our screen, and that's going to be this one here. You're going to notice it's a flower, it's a design. So now we are looking at the screen again. I'm going to back out here so I can see my whole hoop. And you see that I have another green point, a little green plus here. That's my second point. This point up here that's in black, that's the rotating point that you have on it. So I'm going to move this one, get it close where I want it, right down there, and then I'm going to zoom in to it, my point, and I can just move it a little bit. And what I love too, if you notice, I'm not touching on that point to move it because my fat fingers, I can't see that underneath that. But if I touch outside, it moves that little plus for me a little bit there. So I get it roughly where I want it, and then I use my arrows to get it exactly where I want it. So that's the furthest point of the other flower. So now we're going to go to step 4. So this one right here, and again, it's a hoop. So we're going to look back at our hoop. We're not looking at the screen anymore. So you'll notice I need to move this down just a little bit, my needle, and I can see my design. I know it's hard for you guys to see, I apologize, but I can see my design right on there. So I'm going to hit my arrows, but let me show you this. You'll notice I can't move, I can't push the up and down buttons anymore. I can only push the left and right. Because we have that first point set, this one up here, you'll notice it's got the little arrows. You can only rotate off of that point. So from here, I can only rotate like this. So that's how you get your 4th point where you want it. So let's come back over here, and I'm going to move this, and you're going to want to go backwards. So I'm actually going to hit the arrow to the left to make it go right. It'll make sense when you do it yourself. So right there. So that's how you would adjust to get your 4-step exact position. Does that make sense? I'm happy to do that again if you would like. Any questions on that? Somebody said, is there a way to embroider hats with this hoop? I have not tried to. Karen did a Facebook Live 2 weeks ago on the hat hoop accessory, so the bar and the metal hoop. That is a great live that she did. I think that would be a great one to look at. I don't know. You might be able to do like the floppy hats, like the bucket hats. Yeah. Amy said a bucket hat. That's the word I was looking for, a bucket hat. I don't believe you would be able to do like a build hat because there's nowhere for that bill to go. So the hat hoop accessory and the metal hoop, would be your best option for that. So does that all make sense though? I'm giving you all a little bit of time. Makes sense for the 4-step positioning because we're going to move on to pants. I want to show you pants too. So let's switch over here. I'm going to take my hoop off. Got that here. So that was a small pair of shorts. I don't know that I would have done any smaller. Again, that circumference, I don't know that there would have been much more room if I had done any smaller in that way. So somebody said, which icon do you tap to get exact positioning? I will show you that in just a moment when I go back to the screen. So now we're going to do some pants. I have a pair of, I feel like skinny jeans. I'm of the generation of skinny jeans, and they are going away, I feel like. So wide leg pants. It's a great time for this free arm hoop to come out for the wide leg pant owners. So this is one of my farm pants that I wear with my boots and stuff. So same process. I have already sort of found the center. I know these are my 2 side seams. I found the center and marked it. So I'm going to take this part of my hoop, and I'm going to stick it in here first. And again, you could go all the way in if you wanted to. We can do it that way. Let's do it that way so y'all can see. I feel like it's easy to understand how to do it with it just half being in there. So let's go the whole way. So I leave that little clip closed. Let me loosen it now. I know I'm going to need to loosen it. And I want to take my stabilizer now and place that in there. And again, the circumference of these pants are probably about the same that my daughter's shorts were. So I wouldn't go any, any smaller. Make sure my stabilizer is up all the way around my hoop. I can feel around for that. And then I'm going to take this on. So again, you have to think, we want this part of our opening to go on our free arm, and this part is where it's going to connect. I don't know why I get confused and I think it needs to go this way, but you just have to be thinking, how is it going to look on my machine when I get it on there? So once I get everything where I want it, I'm going to open up that clip a little bit. Find it. There it is. And I'm going to slide this in. And I'm not going to worry too much about getting it. Let me get it in a little bit. I'm going to take this out because there's something else you can do, and I'm just going to, because I feel like people do it, and so we're going to make it work. I want to try and get this as centered as I can here. There we go. Right like that, and push it in. So I've got this centered here, and this is a little off, but that's all right because I'm all straight here. And then we're going to tighten that in place. So what you could do, you notice I took my stabilizer out. We're going to just float our stabilizer under there. You can do that, but what you have to do when you do this is you still have to do your fixed stitch. So keep that in mind. That way it will secure your stabilizer to your garment or whatever it is you're doing. So somebody said, can a larger hoop be used rather than the free arm hoop and still use the free arm opening? This would be for adult sweatshirts. So no. So you cannot, it's how the hoop is. It's how the hoop connects is differently than the hoops that we're used to. But it may, I know I haven't gone back to that suggestion somebody said about putting the shirt on first and then floating the hoop underneath it. So let me come back to that and see if that would work in that way. But let's go right here. So I've got my pants. Here is the top part of my pants here, the bottom part. So I want to make sure that my pants, you see these little openings that are right in here, that my pants go in there so that the bulk of it's out of the way. And then I'm going to open up the bottom and slide it on. Let me get my pant out of the way to slide it on. There we go. Oh, hold on. There we go. Almost broke my needle. And you just wiggle that on just like that. And there's that. Got this bulk in the way. And we're going to slide that on right like that. So there's that, and that's how you would put that on. And same thing with exact positioning, getting that exactly where you wanted that. So you could find the center of your design or whatever it is you wanted. If you wanted it just at the bottom of your pants, that's what I love about the projection too, is you're able to visualize it. So if I go back really quick, it's going to want me, yes, on my screen here. If I go back, I'm going to choose a design. Let me move our hoop really quick. I want to choose a design so you can see it on here. That's what I love about the projection, is that you can visualize whatever your project is on the hoop. So let me delete this really quick, my trash. And let's see, let me see. I think it's just because it's the denim. The denim's hard to see. Let me see if you can see this little guy on there. He's a little bit lighter. I wouldn't necessarily put this on the bottom of my pants, but for purposes of you guys being able to see, I'm going to turn on projection. There. Oh, it thinks I want to use the 120 hoop, and that is not what I want to use. So we are going to switch to our free arm hoop. There we go. And then turn on projection. Put our hook on. There we go. So let's see if you can see this a little bit more. So there's our little frame, our little circle that we have there. Amy sent me a note. Let's see. Sorry, y'all, I'm reading and I can't talk and read at the same time. Okay, I'll come back to that, Amy, just a second. So I just wanted you guys to be able to see again the design. You can see it on whatever your project is. So I'm going to move it here just a little bit so you can see it start to go around, and you can get it exactly where you want it. You can sort of move it around. So if I wanted to move my design around before I even went to, do you see my design moving? Before I even went to exact positioning, I can move my design around and sort of get it where I wanted it. So lots of different ways that you can make that work in your favor. So let's go back to that way that somebody had mentioned a minute ago. I'm going to scroll back up here to see. So sliding the shirt on the free arm and then attaching the hoop and sliding the hoop inside. Okay, let's try that because I think it works in my head. I mean, it obviously works if somebody's done it. So if you're like me, I need a visual of it. So I'm going to take this shirt that I have here and we're going to slide that on first, they said. Like that. And then just imagine I've got stabilizer in here for purposes. And then, I mean, I guess, yeah, that will work. So slide that on that way. So you could float, definitely. Thank you. I have learned something new. Thank you for teaching me something today. I'm not sure who said that, Amy, but thank you to whoever said that to me. Great idea, because I do a lot of shirts, and again, I'm not an out-of-the-box thinker, and so I'm very literal with my thinking, so that's super helpful. Thank you. Someone also asked if you could use a larger hoop if you use the adapter. So there's two new large hoops. One of them that comes with the machine and another one. Those are the largest hoops that we have. You don't need the adapter for those. Let me show y'all what the adapter looks like. I've got it much more here. This is the adapter that comes for free with the embroidery arm. This guy snaps right on here like that. And then you slide on the old style of hoops just like you normally would. But I will make sure you fully know, because the machine cannot tell which hoop you're using when you're using the hoop adapter. It can't tell. So you need to make sure that you're using the correct hoop that you have your design to fit within. Because if you say you're using a larger design and you have that hoop selected on the machine, but you put a smaller hoop on your machine, it's going to stitch onto that hoop. It doesn't know that you have the wrong hoop on when you are using the hoop adapter. So I hope that makes sense. So let's switch back here, and we are going to do one more thing. I've got about 10 more minutes. We are going to do a bag, and I'm going to stitch this out a little bit so y'all can see as well. So here I have a bag that I've already done. I did one of these at one of our trade shows, demoing it out. So this is one of our little borders and a monogram on there like that. So let's take our bag here. And again, we have to think. We want our free arm. This is where I get confused with the bags. I would put it on this way because that's how you would normally do a bag. If you were flipping it inside out, you would do it through the opening. But we actually need to do it upside down this way. So we want the inner part of our hoop to go on the inside of the bag, just like this. And I've already marked for my center. I pressed that. And I'm going to put my stabilizer down right there. I'm going to get this roughly centered where I want it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide on just like that. There we go. And so here's my center, and I'm a little bit off this way, but I'm pretty good this way. And then we're going to clamp that closed. Loosen it a little bit. I keep forgetting to loosen it before I put it back on here. Okay. So this is the part that's going to go in our machine. And this is the part that's going to connect on our machine here. So somebody asked, let me switch here. Can you use the move hoop positioning in embroidery or only in the edit screen? You can use only in the to see the projection to move the hoop. Let me show you this right here. to see the projection and move it, that is within the edit mode, not the embroidery mode. So when I go to the embroidery mode, I can still use projection, but then at that point, I'm going to use exact positioning, not the move design. So I roughly want to get my design where I want it before I move over to exact positioning and then go from there. Does that answer that question? Can you move the hoop positioning and embroidery? So let's switch over here. So I've got my opening and I'm going to make sure I'm underneath and over just like that. And we're going to click it on. Make sure our hoop or our straps are out of the way. And I've got a green over here I'm going to use. Let me switch back to the screen here. So if I wanted to add a letter to this, I want to show y'all something. Let me turn off projection really quick, because again, it has to do with which direction your design is going as well. We want to make sure that the top of our design is actually on the right side now, not the left side that we've been doing for like the onesies and the shirt and stuff like that. So if I wanted to add in a letter to this little frame that I have here, let me choose that. I'm just going to do an M right there. And we're going to rotate it because we don't want our M to be that way. We want the top of our M to be on the other side. So let's rotate it to 90 degrees. And then we're going to center it and center our frame as well. So there we go. So if our design, let me select it all and show you what this looks like. There we go. If our design, I'm a visual person. I feel like that's easier to look at. We wouldn't want it to be this way because this is the bottom of our bag over here and the top of our M would be on this side. It wouldn't work that way. We want to make sure that the top of our M is on this side, the right side. So let's rotate that 90 degrees right there. So that's really the big thing also with the free arm is just being mindful of which way your design is going to go as well. You want to make sure that it's facing the right way when you're putting it on your project. So let's stitch out some of this here. We're going to go to stitch out and apply. And let me thread this up really quick. See, it moved over. And it's going to do my leaves first. So I have a green on here. One of my favorite things to show, if you guys haven't seen it, I feel like everybody's seen it at this point, but it's always exciting. Watch, I'm just going to push one button and it has threaded my needle for me. One of my favorite features of this machine. So we are going to press stitch out progress. Where are we at? Press start here. And I could do my fixed stitch if I wanted to make sure I was where I wanted it. And I have my thread cutter turned off from a project earlier, so that's why it stopped. So just like that, and it's going to stitch out. Let me zoom in there a little bit so you can see it going. There we go. Any questions on this so far? That's how you would do that. I'm going to stop that there because we are coming to the end and I know y'all know how things stitch out. So I'm just going to keep that and I will finish that when I'm done with you guys today. So if there's not any other questions, Amy is going to send me my next Facebook Live. Thank you. I was like, hopefully if not, I can pull them up really quick. So the next Husqvarna Viking Facebook Live is going to be Wednesday, June 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And it's going to be with me. And we are going to be exploring Stitch Creator. So that, again, is one of those great new features on the Designer Epic 3 and how you can take almost any stitch on the machine, almost, I don't want to say every, almost any stitch on the machine and adjust them and make them new stitches, or you can create your own stitches. So we are going to be playing completely on the screen the next time, stitching out a couple things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about this feature. And the next My Sewnet Facebook Live is June 12th with Janie Lance. This is one of our My Sewnet specific educators. She deep dives into My Sewnet more than almost anybody. She is up there with Phil and Dawn. So if you love Phil and Dawn, you definitely want to join that My Sewnet Live on Wednesday, June 12th. 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. or 12 p.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Pacific. And Janie's going to be teaching how to create cutwork designs. So she, again, knows all of the ins and outs of the MySewNet software, and she is going to be an amazing teacher, and you are going to learn so much from her, I have no doubt. So again, if you have any questions, anything that come up later, feel free to type them in the chat. We'll be watching the chat for the next week or so, answering any of those questions. And thank you again for bearing with me at the beginning of the live. Amy and Ryan have since joined. They did not know that I was on mute for the first, 30 seconds, everybody? Everybody's like, no sound, no sound, no sound. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I never unmuted. So I gave myself away, Ryan and Amy. They gave me one job to go live on my own, and I failed it. So we hope to see you next time. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you're excited about the free arm hoop on the new Designer Epic 3. Let me also point out, too, from now through the end of the month, May 31st, 2024, if you go into your local Viking Sewing Gallery or your local participating dealer, not all of them are participating, and that's okay, your local participating dealer or Viking Sewing Gallery, and you sit down for a demo on the Epic 3 and create one of our fun little key tags. You can personalize it for yourself. Mother's Day just passed. I did a Mother's Day one. Happy 16th. Some of y'all may have seen me last week. If you visit your local store, you get $50 to spend in store, and you don't have to make any purchase. It's $50 on us for you to spend how you would like. So take advantage of that through the end of the month, May 31st, 2025. So we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.